Hi, my name is Isobel Farnon, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the documentary Big Name No Blankets. I'll start off with an overview, and I'll talk about some of the aspects of cultural, social, and political development that can be drawn out of the documentary and implemented into classrooms and discussed within the classroom environment. And then I'll give a brief discussion about some of the strategies that we as teachers can implement in order to incorporate Indigenous perspectives and histories within our classrooms. So the documentary is about a band called the Warumpi Band that originated from the Papunya region in the Northern Territory during the 1980s. It focuses on their progression in the rock industry, starting out with how they conformed to mainstream rock, non-Indigenous rock conventions, and then how they started to incorporate their own culture and history through these conventions through aspects such as instruments and language. This is showing the development of intercultural understanding within their music. So the song White Fella Black Fella is commenting on the conversation between non-Indigenous and Indigenous communities and how this comes together to sort of allow for intercultural understanding amongst the different cultures. So aspects of social development that can be seen in the documentary. So the documentary comments on how the band relies on mainstream rock conventions to communicate their culture and history to non-Indigenous Australians. This is an effective strategy for teachers who attempt at establishing intercultural conversation and learning in their classroom. So the Music Stage 4 syllabus in the Board of Studies highlights the importance of including Australian history and Indigenous connections to Australian history within the curriculum and the syllabus. This can be seen through the compulsory unit of Australian music in Stage 4 and the elective of music over culture in Stage 5. And we see a shift in power where students are able to choose to develop their own cultural, intercultural conversations. Music as a whole is important for the Indigenous community as it is through music that they communicate their origins and their history seen through the dreaming. So we can explore this as teachers through popular culture, which will maximise student interest and facilitate intercultural connections. It will also establish a level of equality for Indigenous students in the classroom, which allows for more engagement and participation, and also facilitates a sense of belonging through use of familiar areas, such as instruments, languages, and through showing resources such as this documentary. So cultural and political development aspect of the documentary, we can see that there's an issue of racism that's constant in the education environment, which is generated by people of power, such as governments and education boards, through national standards that are placed in the curriculum, such as subjects such as English and PDHPE. There hasn't been an equal representation of Indigenous perspectives in the school environment, as their cultural practices are based off performance, and these subjects such as visual arts and music aren't given much importance in schooling. Towards Stage 4, students are given the choice to drop subjects, and often some subjects are cancelled if the student preference count isn't high enough, and the visual arts and the music curriculum have often been subject to this cancellation. The documentary highlights the importance of learning other cultures in order to develop our own and understand our own through our differences. The Warumpi Band combine their own culture with the non-Indigenous culture through their instruments and language. So we see the lead singer George Rumbu using boomerangs and his own language in his songs, which combine both non-Indigenous instruments and Indigenous instruments and languages. Through this, they're teaching people about their own culture and learning the westernized culture in turn. And this helps interrupt discrimination and allows for cultural understanding. And this resource is a significant one for allowing students to understand the importance of intercultural relations and understandings. So teaching practice. As teachers, we are responsible for embedding Indigenous perspectives and histories in our practice. We need to understand that some things we may not be authorised to teach. We can, however, try to represent such perspectives and histories in a variety of ways. The music course is one of the most culturally celebratory subjects, so there are a lot of resources that we can learn, that we can use to learn music from different cultures. Websites such as YouTube, for example, allow access to music from a variety of different cultures. As teachers, we can be in charge of purchasing Indigenous instruments, so a variety of different cultural instruments to facilitate a sense of familiarity, to establish, again, a sense of belonging and equality. We can also attempt to relate Indigenous music and perspectives to popular culture to enhance student engagement and intercultural understanding. This documentary can be used as a listening resource for the syllabus dot points mentioned earlier, and a key focus of cultural languages and instruments can be picked up from looking at this documentary. So overall, this documentary is proving to be a significant resource in allowing students to understand the importance of developing the intercultural relations and connections within the schooling environment.